Hello, whiskey folk. Hello, everybody. Welcome to an impromptu Saturday night, kind of pseudo vPub, not a real vPub, just a kind of weekend vPub. I couldn't miss the opportunity of sitting down with Leanne from Louisiana, also known as, you know her as Scotch on the Bayou. And we got to meet last week.
We did, in
Which
Austin.
is awesome, right? And
Yes.
we'll talk about that.
That was incredible.
There's so much to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But then Leanne was obviously coming over to Scotland immediately afterwards, and it was looking like we were going to miss each other, right? Okay, just the way that scheduling and things works out, I'm going to turn this a wee bit closer to you so that folk can see you too. But we managed to make it work.
We did.
So Leanne had a nice session at Glengoyne today, and I went up and picked her up from Glengoyne.
Yes.
And we were going to have some dinner together in Glasgow, but we couldn't work out childcare, so she came here.
Yep.
And the bonus for that is that we get to hang out with you guys.
Oh, darn. Make me come into the lair of Aquavite.
And it is much more a lair than anything else, right?
It is.
But you're
It's
sitting
great.
on the same perch as Ralphie.
I know. It's like, wow. This is...
And the Whiskey Rev.
Yes, yes.
So,
I feel honored. I really, truly do. I'm not making fun. I really do.
It's very cool. It's very cool that we could do it. And I said, what do you think about doing a live stream, Leanne? I'd kind of been playing with the idea when I was going to collect her. And I wasn't sure if you'd be up for it, but of course I saw you on the Dummies live stream last year, and I had you joining my live stream in Texas.
Right, and breaking glasses.
So at least there's some continuity, and I had a feeling that you'd be okay with it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So yes, we'll have a chance to have a relaxed. There's no quiz tonight. There's no structure.
Just hanging out.
Right. This is just a kind of hangout, just a relaxed thing. So, and I'm doing it a little bit out of guilt, as I've explained. I went to Texas just over a week ago, and I flew back after a few days in Texas, and it was just a whirlwind. Anybody that was there could understand why it was difficult to keep in touch with everyone and keep up. But then I landed back in Glasgow. My wife collected me at the airport, and I went straight away for a week's holiday with the Whiskey Rev, actually, and his family up in the Highlands. And we only arrived back in the early hours of this morning. So this is kind of me just checking in as well. It's given me, thank you for giving me the opportunity to
thank
catch
you
up as
for
well.
hosting me tonight and collecting me at Glengoyne, and right on the heels of your holiday, as if you don't have enough to do. But I definitely appreciate it.
It's whiskey, right?
It's a whiskey, and
this isn't work.
Awesome.
This isn't a job. This isn't effort. Yeah.
My face still hurts. I'm smiling so much.
We need to check in and say hello to everybody and say thanks to everybody for joining us on a Saturday night. But in order to do so, I'm opening and pouring a Texas whiskey because I think that's just an appropriate thing to do.
Yep.
Over Leanne's shoulders here, there's a bunch. This top shelf is now crowded out with a bunch of souvenirs that travelled back with me from Texas last week. I had a lot of luggage to bring back. But the one I'm going to open and share tonight is from Balcones, actually. It's the Mirador. And I realised when I saw this still sealed that it's been sealed for far too long because I know I love this whiskey. And it's this is Texas single malt. This is a great whiskey. Not much of a pop there. Let's try that again. No, not much of a pop. Let's see how it sounds as it pours in the glass. That's better.
Yeah.
So let's jump in and say hello to all of you guys and try and catch some of you that I've been missing over the last week or so. Will we go backwards? There's Dwayne.
There's Dwayne.
Now, we were just talking about you, Dwayne, because I know that you're prepping in the next few days. You're travelling over to Scotland again. He's a serial visitor.
He does.
Dwayne.
He's found this is his place.
He's famous. You know? When he goes into distilleries, people go, "Hello, Mr. Large. It's nice to welcome you back again." Dwayne, I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. I hope that we get a chance to meet up. If we don't before you head out, Tyler, I know we certainly will when you get back because we're joining the Glasgow Whisky Festival together at the start of November. Zach Andrews is here.
Hey, my buddy Zach.
So,
Zach and I bonded in Austin.
Zach's
my new best friend.
He's an amazing guy, right?
He has. I told him, I said, when I have a bad day, I'm going to call you just so I can hear you laugh. It's the best laugh in the world.
It's the enthusiasm, the fun.
Joie de vivre is what we call that in Louisiana.
Joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre.
That's the French thing, isn't it?
It's a joy of life.
Yeah.
That's
wonderful to have you and Zach. Fantastic to have hung out with you again, because he wasn't supposed to be going. Did you know this?
That was total kismet.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, he sneaked in, and I was standing talking to some people, and he just tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and he was standing there. That was amazing, a highlight. And of course, I don't know if Matt is in Ear Whiskey, but we managed to make Matt quite excited as well, because we gave him a video call directly from the event as well. It was great fun. Cool. Good to see you, Zach. Multi-Haggis Muncher Matthew is in. Ross Fudd is in as well. Ross, I feel like I met you there. So it's not fair when you have a name that I know you on YouTube as Ross Fudd, and then you send me a message to say it was nice to meet you from a completely different name. That's not fair. It's so difficult to kind of match it all up. But Ross, if I did meet you, that's awesome. Please tell me who you actually are, and I can make a connection, my friend. I know that you probably have before, but indulge my, I don't know, aging brain, perhaps. Whiskey Whistle Mark is in. Good to see you, Mark. Good to have you joining us tonight. That's I was telling you about Mark from Canada.
Yeah, okay.
On Whiskey Whistle channel, a peer, fellow creator as well. Good to have you, Mark. Marcus Kreitner is in as well. Good to see you, Marcus. Fantastic. I hope Christina is sitting alongside you tonight as well. James McGoran is in from Sweden. Skippy Van Pob is here. Good to see you. Pete Head is here. Good to see you. Brian Kilco is in. Whiskey Bonding. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
That
Whiskey
is
Bonding.
Hashtag.
Slancha, y'all.
Slancha, y'all.
Still sweet. I could pick this out as American whiskey, I'm fairly certain. But it's, the refill barrel thing. This is getting pretty close to Scotch. And I'll tell you a little bit later about a Balcones that I tried when I was over there this last weekend. And it gave me a fright. It was a peated Mirador. It's not out yet. It's coming out next year. But my goodness, that was a cracking whiskey. One of the highlights of the weekend. I think it's going to make the Scotch industry sit up and think, what are they doing over there in Texas?
Oh, dear.
Good to see you, Brian. Dwayne Large, Ebhead, Rolf is in as well. Fantastic to see you again, Rolf. Obviously, I'm going to get to hang out with you at least once before the end of the year as well. It's wonderful. Highlander 999 is in. Good to see you, saying evening all. Mikey Hayes in from London. Fantastic. Jason Unsworth, I got to shake your hand again. Jason, an absolute privilege it was as well. Jason was there last weekend. Terry Miller, good to see you. He's saying, I see an Elmer T. Lee on the shelf. There's a story to that one as well, Terry. I might get to that before the end of the stream as well. That was a gift to me in Texas. The crowd, the barflies out there might be able to help me with that one. Steve A is in. Steve A.
Steve A. I'm so glad I got to meet him in Austin.
Absolutely. And Steve, you imagined what these people might look like, but he didn't appear anything like what I imagined him to look like.
I knew that if I heard him, I could find him. Because we listen to, we chat on Discord.
Of course.
So I knew the voice for sure.
Of course. Fantastic to welcome you here, Steve, and great to hang out with you so many times over the course of the last weekend as well. Ellen Topper Stewart is in. Good to see you, Stuart. He's saying hello, Roy and Leanne. Malt Review, that's Jason. Now, Malt Review, you must be in Holland. You must be in Amsterdam at the Whiskey Base Gathering. And I'm very, very grateful that you could find some time to tune into us here, my friend. Thank you. And I'm very jealous that you're out there having that amazing whiskey community event. But, we're doing okay.
Not bad, folks.
I think I'd like to. Do you know what the Whiskey Base Gathering is?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I think we would like it. I think we would absolutely like it. I think we would.
I need to know more.
I think we would love it. Yes. Daniel Vermas, good to see you, Daniel. Always good to see you in here. Victoria C, I think that's a new name. Victoria, you're very welcome. I hope you're doing well, and it's nice to welcome you in here. Hoyt is in. Fantastic. Hoyt, Cat Smasher is saying Aquavite. Going on holiday tomorrow, Roy. A perfect impromptu send-off. Well, here's to you, Cat Smasher. I'm not sure who you are. Might be a new name, but I hope you have a fantastic holiday.
Happy holiday.
George Leyland is in. George, I'm not sure. I think it's a familiar name. Not entirely sure. Fantastic to welcome you. Juan Quintanilla is in from Hawaii. Fabulous. Malt Mariners is here. Superb. Wow, so many of you in. Heribert Figueroa saying hello from California. No, Catalonia.
Wow.
My goodness, my eyesight. Hello to Heribert. I hope I'm Eribert. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, my friend, but it looks like a new one. Art Baggy is in as well. Fantastic. Andy, good to see you. The One Glass Man, fantastic. Werner, good to have you in as well. Wonderful to see you. Simon Ray is here. Superb, Simon. Now, I feel like, did we see Simon?
I don't know.
I think
so.
I think
I
we
don't
met.
know that I know Simon.
I feel like we met, but we need to talk about that actually. Yeah. We talked about it earlier today. There were so many people. This was a big event. There was 500 tickets for that event.
Yeah.
And what you found is it's a big campus, so it holds that amount of people. This is at the Wizard Academy,
right.
at the vault itself, the Crowded Barrel.
Yeah.
It holds all those people. But when you're meeting people and they're introducing themselves and you're looking at their face and you're saying, right, okay, and you're remembering their name, you're trying to, and then immediately you meet another half a dozen people, and it's so difficult. And there's nothing worse than meeting somebody just an hour after you've met them and then saying, Ryan, and they go, Zach. And I was just, oh God. So
the name tags helped, but still,
not everyone had them.
Not everyone had them, and sometimes the name was not what we see online.
Right.
So that was difficult to put those things together.
The pseudonym thing is a big deal, I think. And you know, if it's, you don't expect people to put a name tag on and put their YouTube handle.
I did.
But right, I think it's okay for us to live in that world and just use our pretend names.
Right.
That's fine. Use Scotch on the Bayou.
I did. We chatted, you know.
So let's talk up briefly, just in case people are wondering. I can't imagine anybody's wondering who you are. But who is Leanne? Who is Scotch on the Bayou? And what brings you here?
Why am I finding myself in the Aquavitae lair at the moment? I'm here because I actually won a slot to attend the Isla Whiskey Academy, and I'll be doing that.
That's a cool story. I'm going to wind you back.
Oh, wind me way back?
Is that okay?
Why am I even drinking whiskey then?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because I think it's a cool story, and I got this story, and I think it's nice because Leanne in 2016 came to Scotland just to see Scotland.
Just to see Scotland.
And you based it around the Jura Music Festival.
I did. I love music.
But whiskey jumped in front of you.
Whiskey knocked me on my tail.
That's
but not because of too many grams.
Take us back to 2016.
So yeah, I wanted to come to Scotland. I wanted to see what it was all about, and I wanted to do it solo because I wanted to prove myself that I could travel solo. So my husband, who's my biggest cheerleader, said, "Go forth, have fun," and I did. Of the 16 days I was here, I knew I was sleeping 6, and the rest I just got in a car, stick shift, not used to that side of the road or that side of the car, and I just took off and got lost more times than I can even tell you. But every time I found something cool.
Pushing the comfort zone and just letting serendipity have a hand.
And I purposely wanted that to happen. And I found all kinds of things, including Machier Bay on Isla. I didn't realize that's what it was, but that I found it. I went through,
walked until there was no more place to walk.
And there it was.
Yeah.
But I am a technical writer. I like to know how things work. And so when I was going down from Skye to the West Coast on my way to Kennebec, I stopped in Oban, and they had the distilleries right there in the smack dab middle of the town. And I said, well, I really want to see how this works, a distillery. How does that work? You know, there's only 3 ingredients, but there's so many distilleries, and it's, whiskey's all over the place. So I went in there just to learn about the process. I just wanted to learn about the barley comes in. This is the technical brain going. I want to lay out all the process. And we get to the end. I was just amazed. We got there. How in the world is this going to taste like oranges and vanilla and honey? And, how does that happen? So went through the process and got to the tasting. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this is, because I know this might be blasphemy for some folks, but bourbon has never been my favorite thing. And it was probably because I didn't have great bourbon at that time of my life, college, when I was drinking maybe some of that. And my grandmother drank some Old Crow, growing
Bottom
up.
shelf bourbon.
Yeah, and so is that kind of thing I didn't really think about. And when I tasted, it was Oban Distiller's Edition is what they gave us. And I was like, wow, this is something completely different.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I like this. And so I bought a bottle. And then on my way to the Jura Music Festival, I had to go through Isla, and I went to Lefroy. And now for something completely different, in the words of Monty Python.
Yeah.
And that was totally, and it just threw me how 3 ingredients could taste so different.
I think her tasting notes earlier when she relayed this story to me was barbecue pit for Lefroy, right?
It was. And I think there I had the 10 and I had the triple wood. So I brought home a bottle of triple wood. And then I went to Jura for the music festival and went to that distillery and gravitated toward the Jurek Zone, that 16 that you can't find anymore, at least in the States. And I was like, this is really interesting. And it was hot, like a beginner was, that's really hot. But I kind of stuck through it and said, okay, just let it go. And when you take a sip, kind of open your mouth so it doesn't like totally inflame your nasal passage.
Yeah,
all those newbie things that you learn. And so that's where it started. And when I came home and told my husband, Mark, I was like, man, this is really pretty interesting stuff. I think I want to get a couple of bottles and learn some more. And I was just telling Roy, where do you learn? You go to YouTube and you go to Google and you find people like this who know or who want to impart what they think.
You found 4 guys in Indianapolis.
I found these 4 guys in a basement bar in Indianapolis. And we made that our Thursday night date night for my husband and I. We would cook dinner.
Crowded date night.
Right. Hey, different show. But we would put them on the big screen and we would watch the review that they had released that week. And then we would watch the live show. And we got to be buddies with them and, in real life. And I appreciated they had 4 different palettes and 4 different perspectives. And they weren't self-proposed experts. They were learning too.
It was a journey.
So we were on the same level of learning. And I appreciated that. And to this day, I've seen how far they've come in their journey. And I've kind of come along that way too.
Well, I'm going to take an opportunity here to bring up something that struck me as you're saying that, because I knew Leanne even back then. And what you might, when we talk about interaction in the YouTube community and things like that, there is a real bi-directional thing going on. And I might not recognize everybody all the time. But as you connect with us and as you comment and as you stay in touch through the comments and things, we get to know you guys just a little bit like you get to know us, I guess. Because I first got to know Leanne Rayner, right? Okay, that was, and then I worked out that you became Scotch on the Bayou, okay, right. and I made that connection, and then eventually I saw you appear on the Scotch for Dummies live stream. You were behind the bar there at Sean's place, right?
Yep.
And then of course that ends up last week when you walk into the La Quinta reception, right? And I look across and I see you, and I just make a beeline for you because I know
such a moment.
Because I know exactly who you are, and I'm like, just so that this idea that there's a unidirectional thing, that somebody creates something that somebody consumes. In this community on YouTube, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, this is so not one way.
No, it's very much community, and that's why I know so many of these. There's Eric Waite is in Whiskey Drover. Although Whiskey Drover, that could be a new name. But if it is, at least I know that it's perhaps a new name or a new air name to me. Whiskey Crusaders is Matt Zidrick.
Oh.
Eric Gilbert is here. Ice House.
Oh my gosh. And Jason's here. Mash and Drum.
Did you see Mash and Drum as well?
Well, someone's saying hi to him, so I'm assuming he's here. He's probably above the scroll.
So you've got this mix of Eric and Mash and Drum, Whiskey Crusaders. You've got the creators, the people that are making content, just in the same environment as the people that are watching. It feels more and more cohesive the more as time goes on, I think. And I think events like last week manages to reinforce that.
And it especially that last week, everyone's building everyone else up. instead of trying to climb on top.
There's no competition whatsoever.
No, there's just whiskey. As you said earlier, there's just whiskey.
Whiskey demands that we all try to be, at least in this environment, not all the time. Come on, it's too much. But in whiskey's company, to be better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think we're all happy to do that. There's very much of, I mean, we have to remember that Last Week in Texas was hosted by a channel.
Yeah.
2 channels, actually.
Right.
And I've said this a few times, we all dreamed about the idea that there might be an event in an arena, in a space somewhere where we could all actually get together. And that happened. But what I was imagining back then was where all the channels could get together to work out how to collaborate, to work out how to bring a good value to people watching. But what actually happened was this smashing of the whole community together. The people watching, the people creating, the people producing the spirit to come bring along the spirit and share it.
Yeah.
Just really, you can't overstate how fun it was. I don't think you can overstate how.
No.
You have to kind of step out to just.
It was somewhat surreal because you see these folks, the Whiskey Tube folks, and they're not sitting. For those who did not get to go to Austin, it wasn't. They're sitting there and you go pay homage and say, hey, I watch your channel.
It wasn't like a book signing.
No,
right?
No, it was not. It was, you couldn't, it was hard to find you or Scott or Bart or, Bill and Jason and Ben, because everybody was working the room.
Yeah.
And the Whiskey Crusader folks were feeding bacon to anybody who was staying still long enough. I mean, all the Whiskey Tube folks were coming to other people to the point where
we were just part of the group. It was all part of the thing.
Right.
And the only reason that we were given a table was to have a station to dump our stuff. And if we wanted to live stream, to have a place that we could live stream from and things like that. And everywhere you just bounced was from handshake to hug to handshake to hug. And I worked out as well. I apologize to all the American ladies and other ladies that I kissed on the cheek until somebody was gracious enough to say, European.
Oh, no. We do that in Louisiana.
Right, okay.
We'll take that French part.
Yeah.
We do that all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. And then worked out, maybe it's not cool to be given all these kisses on cheeks.
You didn't have anybody tell you no, did you?
I didn't actually.
Okay.
No,
I'm just saying.
Not even the guys refused.
No, I'm saying.
Yeah, it was great fun. But I've derailed your chat because you were talking about 2016. So you went back to the States. You go back to Mark, your husband, and say, this whiskey, there's more to it.
This is more to it. Yeah. So we kind of got into it. He enjoys it. He enjoys drinking it. He doesn't dissect it like I do. And through the encouragement of him and the dummies, and I just started putting thoughts together. And that's when the Scotch for Dummies guys had their Highland Park dinner last year. I got the idea before leading up to then. It's like, I want to get my thoughts down. And so that's when I just started my Scotch on the Bayou blog. And so it's not even been a year, but it's a place for me to put my creative outlet, because this is not this square, this is not my thing. That's y'all's. That's y'all enjoy that.
There is a Scotch in the Bayou channel, right? But there's no content.
There's no content on it.
But I think that whiskey, we've talked about this today as well. It kind of, I know that with the Whiskey Rev and I, we were enjoying whiskey. I've just had a week's holiday with the Whiskey Rev. It was really cool to hang out with him again. But we used to stare at the glass and not have the words to talk about what was happening. Right. And you mentioned it, you said only 3 ingredients. You've got grain, water, yeast.
Yeah.
Some people talk about wood or whatever, thyme being ingredients, but those are incidental things. How can all this flavor be in this glass? And that's so crazy. Drove you to write, and you talked about how you love language, you love the shape of writing, you do it as a living, but in a very technical way.
Right.
So the creative outlet for you, that whiskey drove you down was to write about whiskey.
Right.
And the Scotch on the Bayou blog.
Yeah, and with that, so like my bottle reviews, they usually have an underlying theme, like value. The last one was a Knock 12, and it was about, what does complex mean? And complex doesn't have to be convoluted.
Yes. Yeah.
It can
yeah.
be very simple, but be complex. And that's that particular. And you were the reason, and I credit you in that, you're the reason I decided to pick up that bottle.
For me, and I think I said it in the recycled review at the time, you need to remind me, you probably know better than I do, but for me, that bottle represents a 12-year-old that I would not recommend easily to everyone. And it's a subtle thing. There's a dryness to it. There's Anok, they talk about a kind of mineral quality. And if that's what it is, it's in that bottle at 12 years. It's something that I grew to love in that 12-year-old bottle. But I think it would be difficult to immediately pour and share with everybody.
I think so too.
You need to spend a bit of time, let the bottle breathe, take a few drams even, responsibly, but actually come to understand how subtle and yet complex for a 12-year-old whiskey that Anok 12 is. I don't expect it to blow anybody away, but there is a quality to that is unique. I remember what I said about it now. I said that it carves its own furrow. It's doing something fairly unique.
Right.
But it's a language that you're only kind of permitted to understand once you've spent a bit of time with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you enjoyed that bottle?
I did a lot, and it's a staple at the house. So
Fabulous.
it's always on the bar. And actually, when we were in Austin, because Texas has more of a selection and a definite price difference than what I can sometimes get.
Much cheaper.
Yes,
Yeah.
I found the 16, and I brought the 16 home.
No, you didn't.
I did. I brought the 16 home from Dallas, from Austin. Yes.
From Austin?
Yes.
I didn't find the 16. I didn't 16.
I went to an outlet. I didn't go to the one specs that everybody went to that was right there. Yeah. I had
Do you know
a car.
what's funny
I
about
traveled.
that? I was talking to the guy in specs about the Anok 16. And he was talking about it as well.
Really?
Oh, that's a wonderful
I haven't
bottle
opened
of
it
Scotch.
yet. That's when I do.
But
It'll be in an aquavite glass.
Well, I tell you, the thing about the Anok 16, and I think the temptation for most Scotch producers is to take the product and mix that kind of perfect thing we're talking about, your blended date Glengoyne today, where it's easy to go to one extreme and enjoy the extremes. But then when you realize when you mix the two of them together, they just make this wonderful, rounded, lovely product. But then it's very tempting for all the core range to be a mix of casks. But the Anok 16 was different. That was fully ex-bourbon only.
Really?
There's no sherry
right.
anywhere near that. And it's not strange, but it's not common for that to be a thing. And that Anok 16, I talked about the Whiskey Rev and I, how we would share our whiskies, all my whiskies open for anybody to drink. They can have anything they like. But when people were around, the Whiskey Rev and I didn't easily pour that for other people, not because we were precious about it, but just because it was, again, one of those whiskies that maybe not everybody, when the Whiskey Rev and I drank it, our eyes would roll in at the back of our heads and we'd just be in a very happy place, right? But it's maybe not an obvious hook whiskey. I think it was one of these subtle, complex things. Very jealous that you picked up a bottle of the 16. That's not
that's
the 16.
a cask.
That's
a cask drink.
So that's this year's release.
Ooh.
So
because the one I have is purple.
Oh no, that's 18.
Oh, it's the 18.
Yeah,
it is the 18.
So
yeah,
the 60.
Purple.
The reason that this is this blue color is the Anok 16 was this blue color. It was in similar packaging. It didn't have all of this here or the 125. But this is like they've brought this back as a cask strength version and released it this year at £100 for the privilege. I haven't opened this yet. Would you like? Maybe we should open this tonight. Let's put it there. And if we decide that this is something to open, because it's very much the same. It's exclusively ex-bourbon only, and it is a nod to the old 16. The old 16 was 46%. This is a cask strength version which celebrates their 125th anniversary. And we're all super nervous that Anok is going to go through a rebranding exercise and jack up their prices, because right now they're one of the best values in Scotch. So if it's purple, you picked up the 18.
It's the 18 now that I think about it.
I'm not jealous anymore. I can get the 18 still. Doug Chrisop is saying, Leanne, I really checked out your blog after the BB. The BB?
After the...
I love your photography and your writing. You have a new fan.
Oh, the Bastard's Ball.
Ah, okay.
Thank you, Doug.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
So how would they find you if they wanted to?
So my blog is scotchonthebayou.com. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Scotch on the Bayou.
So anybody can go along and
Yeah.
share your photography
Yeah.
and your opinions.
So I post a lot about our life in South Louisiana, and usually at our camp, which is basically a shack in the swamp. And our dogs, we have a good bit of fun there. It's our calm down weekend, chill out place. A happy place.
Your time out spot.
Yes.
And you take drums with you.
Oh,
You drive along
yes.
with drums.
Yes, very much so.
Fantastic. Does it? I mean, because Louisiana is super humid, right?
Yes.
And it gets super sticky in the summer.
Very.
So do you find yourself seasonally changing the style of Scotch or style of whiskey that you drink?
I do, because I definitely drink the lighter expressions in the summertime.
Yeah.
Though not with ice.
Still?
I still drink neat. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And it is and even in Oban, I asked the tour guide, I said, how should I properly drink this? And he said, there's only one proper way, and that's how you like it. And I said, okay, then that's how.
And I think that's right. I think that's right. But I'm always at pains I can't.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of like, there's drinking and there's appreciating.
Right.
And they are two completely different things. They're not mutually exclusive. You can enjoy both. But if you want to analyze a whiskey and enjoy a whiskey, there are kind of tools to use and ways to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're drinking, there are no
Right.
rules. So absolutely. Let's see. Malt Mariners is saying you guys nailed it. The reason why I like this community so much is because people build each other up instead of pushing each other down.
Yep.
Let's keep that going for as long as we possibly have any control over it. Malt Mariners, I fully agree, which I feel is a program in some German groups. I think that's when ego is allowed to play a part, right? And where people think, they want to be the guy or the gal or the whatever.
Right.
Just stop. No. Sorry, you're just an extra.
It's all about that.
This is the stuff.
And all of us together with it. Yeah. I like Kilcoat is talking about the whiskey and gumbo pairings. That would be very interesting.
What's gumbo? Tell me what
gumbo is. A staple of South Louisiana food. And it's a brown gravy kind of base. I don't say soup because it's got to be thicker.
Okay.
It's not as thick as stew, but not as thin as soups.
Is this like a product or a byproduct? Is it a kind of leftover thing?
No, it's purposely made. You got to make a roux. I mean, literally.
Right, okay.
So it's oil and flour, and you in a cast iron skillet, you're working that flour and browning it and browning it's Hershey bar chocolate. You get it that dark, and then you start adding your celery and garlic and onion and bell pepper. And you cook that all down, and you start adding chicken stock, and then you can do and then you can do like a sausage andouille. Our andouille sausage is a little spicy, but it's denser than just a kielbasa or that type of sausage. And then maybe chicken or turkey. That's the Cajun kind of version. And then you would serve that over rice.
Over rice. I was waiting for the carbs to come in at some point.
Yes.
You serve it with
the New Orleans version would probably have seafood.
Scott and Bart are here, or I predicted that's probably Scott.
Scott's great.
He's saying hi everyone and Lee. So we got to hang out with those guys as well last week. It's great to have you in here as well, Scott. Fantastic. Sunday Evening Scotch is saying, sorry?
It's Michael. Hey, Sunday Evening Scotch.
Michael, yes, is Sunday Evening Scotch is saying, hi, Aquavita and Leanne just poured some Oban Distillers edition to join in. Removed previous post, accidentally said 14. Good for you. I don't have any. I don't have any, no. I've got the standard 14. I don't have any of the Distillers edition. Let's see, but that's what happens. It just, see how it jumps there like that? Yeah. As soon as I try and move
see
it,
how you keep up with this.
If I try and move it a little bit, it can jump like this. Craig is in. Craig Dollar is saying Saturday night with Aquavita on the big telly.
There you go. Oh, God.
Time viewing. That's right. That's what Leanne was talking about. that she used to watch the Scotch for Dummies on her cast to her big TV, and Mark Broda, one of the Scotch for Dummies, was blown away when he got this message and photo of you guys hanging out watching the four of them on the big TV.
You know, you've been married a long time when your standing Thursday night date is watching the Scotch for Dummies.
Yeah,
that's great.
So Luna Aaron's asked a question that brings us. Great to see you, Luna. Has brought a question that's brought us right back around on track, because that was 3 years ago, 2016. You come over for a music festival, you play in Scotland for a little while, go home with a love of whiskey.
Yes.
And this time, there's no music festival.
No.
There's no kind of, there's still serendipity. You've got a loose schedule, but you've booked a solid week for the Islay Whiskey Academy, which is a structured thing that happens on Islay. What's the name of the girl who runs it?
Rachel McNeil.
Rachel, that's right.
Rachel McNeil.
So your time is going to be not yours for a few days.
No, it's for 5 days. It is a 5-day residential course. So we start right out of the gate on Monday morning. I'll fly over tomorrow afternoon. And we have like classwork in the morning, and then we're in a distillery in the afternoon. And then we have 3 actual dinners as well.
But you know, to answer Luna's question, you know probably what distilleries are involved already, right?
Yes. And those would be Kilholman, Ardbeg, Lafroig, Ardnahoe, and Bruichladdich. So
there you go.
Yeah. And
what I would say there as well is that there are only 9 distilleries on Islay now with Ardnahoe. And if people were going for, say, that you're going for 5 days, there's a temptation to hit every one of those distilleries.
Right.
So it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Get there early, spend a bit of time looking around, get a feel of the place, take a walk, go down to the beach if there's a beach, take a walk up the hill if there's a hill, go and meet the people beforehand, then take the tour, enjoy the whiskey, marinate in the experience, and then hang out until you're not welcome any longer. Right?
Get out of here already.
And I think there is always a temptation to try and, bucket list or tick box things. Right. And I think you have to go there with the idea that you can't see everything. So go and make the most of the ones that you can see and devise a reason to come back again.
Yeah, you can. There's always a reason to come back to Scotland. Always.
Yeah.
And even if you think you can't figure out kind of a way, because and don't be too scared to do it on your own instead of maybe with a booked, because my first trip was totally on my own and it was a budget.
Yeah.
It was way budget. But we made it happen,
Well, I mean, I think that's right. If you're happy with any accommodation, just some place to sleep, some place to shower, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need to be high end if you can go high end things. I think the memories that you take home with you are not the lovely hotel bed, right? Yeah. It's the kind of it's the connections and the places and the people and the whiskies and how it's all come about. And I think there's a depth of understanding that seems to happen to people after they've been here, that they understand more, because outside of Scotland or outside of any country that produces anything, you're producing it through a brand. Mm-hmm. So it's a label. The only connection you have is the label. When you go behind the brand, I think there's much more of a connection and much more of an understanding how something can exist and what it is. Hoyt is saying, for me, hanging out and talking at the Bowmore bar was better than some of the distillery tours. I get that completely, Hoyt. I really do. The whiskey friend Alan, good to see Alan, is saying, I can always find a reason to come back to Scotland. Well, he's a Glaswegian, he's the same as me, but he's living down south. But it's only a trip up the motorway for Alan. And I think that, Alan, you probably get what I'm talking about when I say sometimes you need to live outside of Scotland to realise some of the cool things that we take for granted, I think. Malted Man Cave is in. Keith is saying, hey, Lee and Roy, good to see you, big guy, good to have you in. Skippy Van Pob is saying, must be off. Still yard work to be done. Yard work. It's dark out.
Yeah, not here. Not back home.
Before the snow flies. Oh, wow. Taking my wild turkey rare breed with me. Slanchit, Roy and Leanne. Slanchit, Skippy. And I think we'll talk about this. Mirador. For me, this is very sweet. Caramel. It's like a sugary caramel side to this that I don't remember having before, but it's probably on the back. What did we have before this? Springbank.
Yes.
So we had quite an earthy Springbank. but an excellent dram nonetheless. And there's usually an age statement on this. Look at this. Aged at least 23 months in oak. That's Texas whiskey. 23 months. Everyone you pick up is similarly young, right?
Right. But 1 month of aging in the state of Texas is probably 2 years.
Well,
when it kind of comes to the heat factor, or
well,
I don't know.
But it's not just the heat; it's the contrast. We landed in Texas on the Thursday.
Yeah.
It was 99 degrees in your currency. 99 degrees. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's easily heavily into the 30s. We go out. We have a nice night. It's very warm. It's very comfortably warm in the evening, I would say. The next morning we wake up, it's 48 degrees.
Yeah, that's Texas for
In fact, it was cooler than that in the morning. It warmed to 48 degrees. So that's a 50-degree swing in one day. So you imagine what's happening to the liquid in the barrel as it swells and contracts and it swells and contracts. And those temperature swings are happening by the day, evening, night.
Yeah. Plus all the humidity. That swings back and forth too.
So the climate is playing havoc. In Scotland, we have this, we talk about the changeability in Scottish weather, but that's really what's happening in the sky. What's happening on the ground is the temperatures, they don't change so much. And certainly when it's when it's inside a really thick, well-built dunnage warehouse, so it takes a long time for the same maturation to happen in a different way, I think. And I think it's quite amazing to witness that, to have 50-degree swing in one day. That's if I hadn't witnessed it myself, I would have struggled to believe it, but there you go. Steve A is saying 23 months and so good. I'll agree with you there, Steve. It's a very tasty dram, but yet quite a caramel sweet thing.
Yeah.
Almost like a confectionery dissolved sugar caramel, burnt caramel.
It's like thing. The spun sugar they put on desserts.
Or the kind of toffee sauce that you might put on ice cream. James McGorran is saying you guys need to crack open something for a pour. Well, just because it came up in conversation, well, we open this because there's no intention.
I'm not going to say no.
Of course, you know what I'm constantly doing? I'm constantly trying to keep things sealed now because you've seen the whiskey downstairs, right? It's everything open, and I don't have the liver, Leanne. I'm glad you're here to help a little bit, right?
I'm so glad that I can help you out with that, Roy. It just makes my heart feel good that I'm able to help you out with that.
And yet here we go again, opening another wee bottle. But I have to say, I had a plan in mind for how I was going to open this bottle and how I was going to share it. But what we're going to do now doesn't in any way endanger that. On the vPub that's coming up on Thursday night, I'm going to do a vPub that's going to be a celebration of sherry cask. Okay. So it's going to talk about the sherry cask, what it is, how it came to be, the difference between a traditional Bodega sherry cask and how rare those are, European oak sherry versus American oak, seasoned sherry cask, what that actually means, all the kind of misunderstanding and nonsense that there is surrounding sherry cask, and how it's one of those wonderful things to celebrate that just serendipity played a hand to give us such a fabulous product that was sherry matured Scotch whisky. This was going to be the yang to that, yin, so to speak. This was the bourbon side of things, and it's harder, as I explained earlier, to get your hands on core expressions that are exclusively bourbon matured and say so on the label. If you're going to go the independent bottler route, it's easy to find ex-bourbon, refill bourbon, first fill bourbon, whatever you want to do. But bourbon matured whiskies as part of a core expression is a wee bit more difficult. So that's why I had this. But let's open it and share it tonight.
If you're sure.
Of course, I'm sure.
Okay.
No, I've not tried this, but it's one of the producers that I'm very, very confident. I don't think it's going to let us down. This was expensive, I have to be honest. It's 16-year-old and it's cast strength, but it was £100. I mean, it's nice that it's their 125th anniversary and all, but yeah, everybody and everything's getting older. All I want this to be, I would like this, and I won't be let down if it's different. I'll try and judge it on its own merits, but I would love this to be a cask strength version of that 16-year-old that the Whiskey Rev and I came to love so much. And honestly, everybody I speak to about the old Anoc 16 feels the same. Of course, what I'm doing is I'm driving up the auction prices right now.
Right.
And
everybody's getting in the car, putting you on their phone, and as they drive to the
and I don't have a bottle at home. Right. This should make the noise. It's like therapy. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I
sure is.
I made the mistake of pouring my own firstly, and I apologize.
No, that's quite all right.
Right, that's I'll pour you as much as you like, and you can help yourself to more.
Yeah, that's good.
It's one of those bottles. It says on the label, non-chill, filtered and natural color. Long may that continue, Anoc. Well done. Fantastic. This limited edition whiskey has been released to mark our 125th anniversary, celebrating the past, the present, and our passion for whiskey making. So it doesn't talk about cask. It may on the tube, but I am under the impression.
There.
The tasting notes is very American oak.
Yeah.
Ex-bourbon, citrus, vanilla, green apple. Anoc 16-year-olds has been matured exclusively in American oak ex-bourbon casks. It has been bottled at cask strength, offering a light and elegant expression. Okay, we don't need their tasting notes, but it is nice to know their cask notes. Zach Andrews is saying, Scotch Bayou, cheers, I have to run. Lee, have a fantastic trip. Love you, girl. Zach, thank you so much for all your fabulousness and getting to hang out, turning up as a surprise guest last week.
And
cheers
the fine leash, thank you.
Ooh. Yeah. Wow. There's a fizzy pop, an effervescent pop on the back end there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a zesty green apple thing, right enough. I know I've just read that from the thing, but I don't know if apples are big things. But if you, a green apple peel specifically, and green apples can have that almost effervescent thing. It's there. This is cask strength. It's a completely different animal from the previous 16-year-old. The ABV's playing a part here as well. You getting a fizz?
I am.
And an effervescence from it.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. Could be the ABV, could be the kind of the fruit thing.
I see Ben Dietrich was on, and I got to hang out with him in Delilah's.
Is Ben
Thursday
here?
night, yes. He and Zach. They were awesome to show up.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Is he in his Ben or is he in his single malt lines?
There
he is. There he's in his Ben. Fantastic, Ben. Great to see you. He was an absolute gentleman and a great guy to have along in May as well.
He's super.
Actually, I got to hang out end of last year at Glengoyne with Ben.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we drew some samples from the cask and things like that. It was great fun. Luna is saying, so you made Leanne rather happy just now, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
Rossford is saying, did you have a chance to try the Cutter, Flutter and Rootin? I have tried all of those. And none of those, if that makes sense, Ross. So what would happen is that the non-age statement special editions that they do through travel retail and through retail, you get a chance to sip and try. I've never been offended by any, but none have gripped me. I'm sure they're all great whiskies. The Anocs that I've purchased and taken home tend to be age statement Anocs. 12, 18, 16, of course, as I've been talking about. The 24 I shared recently on a live stream in our vPub, telling everybody this is the best value in Scotch whisky right now. It's round about 100, 120 pounds for a 24-year-old single malt. And it's not a 24-year-old single malt that's like, oh, that's quite nice. It's delicious. In fact, I've got some downstairs. We might share. If we have the time, we might share that one too.
I just have to make a plane to Isla tomorrow at 3. That's all I got to do.
3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. Kevin Grant is saying, did you get some of the Kalila open in Texas? Yes, I did. So I gifted a bottle of that to Mash and Drum, Jason. I opened one and I shared it in the La Quinta bar, and I gifted a bottle to Daniel and Rex as well. This was 13-year-old Kalila. Did you try that?
I
don't
didn't think
remember
of
that.
No.
It was a 13-year-old Kalila
I
bottled.
don't remember that.
It was a 1993 bottled in 2007, but it was only released for sale this year. So it's been in glass for 13 years and in cask for 13 years. And it was very much a vintage Kalila. It was like smoked buttered popcorn.
Ooh.
I don't have any at home. Kevin's going to try and get me another bottle so that I have some to share as well. It's wonderful. Mash and Drum is saying, well, I'm running out to buy an Anok. Jason, why don't you have one already?
Oh, Jason, keep coming closer to the Scotch world.
And if what I would say is, if it's an age statement Anok, just buy it, as you're going to be in for a good experience and it's not too expensive. But if it's one of the non-age statement ones, they're following very, very specific themes. It's a try before you buy on those, in my experience. But the age statement ones, you're fairly safe. Kevin Grant is saying, I'll have 2 for you. I'll drop by on Monday. Kevin Grant's a good guy.
It definitely sounds like a great friend.
He's family. He's my cousin as well.
That helps.
Yes, it does. It does help a lot. Let's spend a moment with this, because that was quite striking on first sip. I'm struggling to get past the apple thing. It said apple on the tube, and I should know better than to read.
I do try to get my own kind of thoughts down
First. Right.
You know, you read enough to think, do I want to buy that bottle? Or you may see a review and decide, well, if so-and-so liked it, or you kind of identify with that YouTuber's palate.
Yes.
When I think about what my palate for the Scotch for Dummies guys, Sean is more, he and I are closer, I think, on palate. So I pay attention to all of you guys. I love you. But Sean, I'm like, we're more in tune, I think, on some things.
Yeah, I think that Sean has a delivery style about him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like this kind of, I love the enthusiasm, and I love everything that all the 4 guys, I love the contrast and the different personalities and what they've carved out as being their things. We know what Drew likes.
Right.
Drew doesn't know it, but Drew's drawn to a sweet malty style.
Right.
That's what he loves when he talks about his burnt toast thing.
Yeah.
That's what he's getting. He's getting the cereal and the bread, and
right.
We know that Andrew's a Pete head. We know that Mark's a hooer.
Mark is like, whatever it is,
anything goes. Anything goes, right? And it probably his opinion is he's, if he likes or dislikes something, you're like, Mark, really? Is it a mood thing or whatever? But Sean is almost like a considered guy, and you're waiting for the punchline sometimes from Sean.
Yeah.
And I think he purposely waits, almost like to see what the other guy says, and then it kind of. Right. I said to you earlier, I would desperately. They're coming next year to Scotland. I've hung out with Mark and Drew. It would be nice to meet Andrew and Sean.
Yes, you have to meet all of them. They're all 4 super people. Yeah. And Sean's a trained chef.
Yes.
And he has a very honed in palate anyway, because he has to for food. So I don't know. They're very interesting. Yeah.
And he's coming at it in an analytic, professional way as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there was a long time ago, I sent those guys a sample of Glengoyne 25, which you tried today.
Yes.
And it was one of the first editions of Glengoyne 25 as well. And I packaged it up. I actually gave it to Mark and Drew for them to drink as a travelling dram, but they took it back home and they reviewed it on the show. And that was the first ever Scotchgasm. Do you remember that?
That picture, yes, that picture of Sean gets passed around Discord quite often.
Because he has this flutter and his eyes are looking up to the heavens going,
oh, Sean.
But the reason that's wonderful is we recognize that moment.
We've all had that moment, whether or not we want to admit it, and thankfully not on YouTube.
Yes. Well, actually, I mean, I think if it happens on YouTube, it happens. It's going to just happen. But I think that's what we enjoy. We enjoy that vicarious thing and that validation that what we're experiencing is not our weirdness.
No, right.
It is an absolutely valid, very mortal way of connecting with things. Whiskey Novice is saying Nanook 12 is a great place for anyone to start. I agree, absolutely. Somebody even Scotch is saying Leanne. Brie and I have had that discussion as well. For the S4 Dummies, she is a Drew and I'm a Mark with a bit of Sean as well.
Well,
That's too funny.
We all like the way Sean pours. Because he pours heavy.
He's the generous guy.
Yeah.
He's the lazy arm guy, right? He's like,
right. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what do you think? What do you think of this?
I really like it. I'm with you on the fizzy.
There's Bill and Bill Dull. This is my friend Bill.
That's your friend Bill.
Yeah.
Hey,
Leanne's
Bill.
really, she's sad that she didn't get to meet you.
I didn't get there in time.
I told her that you were in Austin and you had to leave at lunchtime on Friday. So you just missed each other. She was looking out for you. She loves the Isla video. And we were talking about the part that you played, not just on screen, but all the bag carrying and helpfulness that you did off screen as well. Let's raise a glass to my friend Bill. Super generous, treated us to a delicious dinner in Texas as well. So the Apple thing is there from the start. And if you were to say a color, it would be green. If this is a green, that's sweeter. It's sweet. It's getting sweet now.
Yeah, I'm getting like the honey kind of.
I usually have a wee dropper on standby. There we go. Let's give it. If you want to try a wee splash of water, I think it might do well.
That would do it.
There we go. Try it with a wee splash in it as well. Christina Zarpoli is in. Fantastic, Christina. Wonderful to hang out with you as well. And you saw them with their capes, her and Lance.
Oh, I didn't know that was Christina.
That's Christina.
I saw them, but I didn't know that y'all were the Celts.
They bring this kind of this utterly sinister but ridiculous streak to the proceedings, right? You know, this like totally occult type thing.
Somewhat accurate, but hey, we're all in, so that's okay.
It was great fun as well. And to see everybody there, everybody that I recognize from the comments. Is that just brought it alive?
That's just crazy.
Or what are you talking about?
Just all the comments and all.
Yeah. But what's crazy about it is that we are seeing them, but this is how I see them every week.
I know.
And then and it's the same if you're part of this chat, to be in an environment where they're all real people.
Well, and when you normally come on for vPub, I'm still at work.
Yes.
And so everybody has to have a drink for me because it's going to be like to the very tail end if I can get home in time.
And that's just about
I have to choose.
That's about the best time, because if I go any later to catch you guys, I lose so many of the guys in Europe or further east that cannot leave early. It's tough.
But I usually choose to work late that day so that I can watch the whole show and then I can have my dram at home.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to miss you in the car.
Well, and that's the great thing that YouTube affords us, especially nowadays that you're having a moment. Right?
I am kind of.
That not only does the video replay, but the live chat synced and replays as well. So it's kind of cool. You can't participate,
but I want to like interject my thoughts in it, and I know I can't, but that's fine. I just make comments at the end.
Yeah, that's right. So listen, I think anybody who wants to raise a dram to wish Leanne all the very, very best over the next few days, shout barfly and we'll try and give you a shout out, but hit the like button on the video as well, and we can follow. How do we follow you? I'm not going to wind things up. I'm going to drink this. There's another dram to come as well.
Yes.
But how do we follow your journey over the next few days? What would be the most? Probably Instagram? Or?
Instagram would definitely be it. I'm trying to record some things to actually put some things on as reference, if you will, from my website to YouTube.
Okay.
But that's going to be quite post event. But I've, like last night, I got to go to Ben Nevis. And so when I can get on Wi-Fi,
the Ben Nevis, the pub in Glasgow, rather than the mountain or the distillery.
Yes, I did not climb a mountain to have a dram. I went to a bar on a corner of Argyle and something.
And they had Argyle Street. They had live music.
They didn't that night, unless it was later. Because I was so tired from getting in that morning. But just there, and made some friends because I do that.
Mhm.
And we had Black Knot 15 to start off,
Yes.
and then Glen Scotia 15, because the two gentlemen had not had a whole lot, but they kept talking about Campbellton and only Springbank, and they only had, I think they just had the 12 of Springbank, and I said, well, let's try a different Campbellton.
Yeah.
And so we did the Glen Scotia 15 as a shout out to Mark Goins, because he got me on that.
Nice.
Yeah. Then isn't that what it's all about? Is
Yep,
sharing that
absolutely.
knowledge.
Yeah.
And so they were really liked it. They liked it a lot, and it was very reasonable purchase.
Price
so
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we did
did
that.
The drams here for our visiting Americans, they're tight.
Mhm.
We measure to the milliliter, right?
Yeah.
But the prices are usually
Very
reasonably
fair.
priced as well.
Yeah.
Doug Crisop has just bought a virtual dram for you.
Awesome.
He said it was great meeting you both in Austin. Have a
Same,
great
Doug.
class and glass, Leanne.
Awesome.
See, and especially Doug, thank you for not only using your regular name so that we can have a chance of
Right.
recognizing you, but his face is clearly there in the
Yep.
in the icon as well. Thank you, Doug. And I'll raise a glass to you and say
Yep.
Slanchuva. Or
Slanchuva.
no, sorry. Slancha you all.
Slancha y'all.
And thank you so much for your virtual dram. Cheers.
Thank you.
Ooh. And the big guy from Indiana, Dwayne Large, has sent across a dram as well to say, Roy and Leanne, great to see you both on this vPub. Leanne, best wishes for a great week in Isla Whiskey Academy. I'm looking forward to breathing some Isla air again.
Yes.
Late next week, Slancha. Slancha
That's
right
it.
back at you, Dwayne.
Same,
Fabulous.
Dwayne.
Looking forward to
Try
seeing
to
you back
figure
here
out.
soon.
We're going to try to find a pub at the same time while we're
Yes.
there.
Yeah. I think you've got plenty. And if you're struggling, make your own.
Yes.
So you've come back. You're going to do the Isla Academy. This is a fully whiskey focused thing.
It is totally. There was actually a contest where they opened up a slot.
Oh yeah.
And it was really asking, why do you want to come? It was a narrative to write. Why do you want to come? What would it do for Scotch, and what would it do for Scotland if you made it? And so I took my writing to course, and I said, kind of told the story about coming over here and discovering that Scotch was my drink, and that unfortunately still there is somewhat of a stigma, or why would a woman want to drink Scotch, or whiskey, and that's a man's drink. Well, in my demographic or my age and older, that kind of was the thought. And it's like, no, I don't need permission. I don't need to be relegated to the schnapps in the vodka aisle.
Right. And
I can have some Scotch.
And we just, I don't want to interrupt your story, but we talked about this earlier, and this has to be a huge thing of what we do as a community. If you find yourself bringing gender, race, religion,
Right.
even politics into the discussion, you're probably coming at it from the wrong
side.
Just it doesn't matter. And I to be honest, I understand it because I'm of a generation where my parents, maybe to an extent my peers, saw whiskey as being a man's drink.
Mm-hmm.
But I simply don't view it as that anymore.
Well, and that's your contribution to break that chain.
But we all have a place.
Yeah.
And we all do a thing. And if we see ourselves going, oh, a lady, or oh, whatever, sorry, that has to we have to remind ourselves that none of these things are a condition to enjoying whiskey.
Right.
I think that we would do well.
Yeah.
I've got 2 girls. You've met my girls tonight.
Yes, they're adorable.
But I would hate for them to enter into any environment where they're at a disadvantage or a step behind simply by the fact they were born girls.
Right. No,
I don't have
be
the
no
same
limits.
I don't have the same worry over my son.
Right.
That's not fair. So we should all kind of work together to try and make sure that these things don't become a thing.
That's right.
But you get that. You've had it at home. Yeah.
So I applied. There were 80 applicants, and they had a cut list to 12, and then I found out that I won.
Can we read the article?
Actually, it's on the Isla Whiskey Academy's
it's not
website.
on yours?
It's not. I can't believe. I have a link, I think, to it, and I have a link to it on Instagram. But basically, that was kind of my
linking
my
from
thing.
Instagram is difficult. I think
It
we need to
is.
find. I think that there's a lot of people going to be interested in reading
Yeah.
what got you on the Isle of Whiskey Academy.
I'll put it
right?
on my site.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
so
would be
people
good.
can see it.
Link,
and then
share it or link to it.
Lord knows I will be doing a massive download of what comes out of my brain after this week, because
Right.
we are busy from morning to night.
So based on that article that you put together, based on what you believed would be the case,
Mhm.
and based on you here sitting with me just now before the week has started, really, this is still,
Yeah.
you know, you're just
I'm
getting over your
pre-gaming.
jet lag. This is you pre-gaming, right?
You're right.
So in order for you to be able to watch this when you arrive back home, when it's all done,
Yeah.
when the dust has been blown and the air has settled, what are you expecting now? What do you envisage? Do you imagine an academic side? Do you imagine drinking and sipping? Do you imagine people? What do you imagine? It's a learning experience first and
Right.
foremost, right?
It is. I mean, for example, we're going to have a professor of zymology to come in and talk to us about
A
yeast.
professor of what?
Zymology to talk to,
Zymology.
which is yeast. So he's just coming to talk to us about what yeast does and how it makes an effect on the overall flavor. Or
So taking that sugar
yeah,
and rendering it into
we're going
alcohol.
to the Octomore Spring to see the source of the water.
Okay.
We're doing the like field trip type thing. So I think there's going to be that technical that I really want to know.
Yes. Yep.
Because I want to get into the distiller's head of why did they make the decision for that cask or to use that type of barley, or I want a process, you know? So I want to
And
figure out what
you want
that
it to
is.
be by design rather than just
Happenstance.
yeah, just
Because if it's happenstance, then what that is like.
But I like the happenstance thing, right? I like the idea that whiskey is taking care of itself, right? It's just kind of having its own thing. So there's a very significant academic angle that you're coming at, right? Okay.
Yes, I've read lots before.
I hope you're blindsided by the people and the moment and the location and the landscape.
Yes, I think that is what we call lagniappe. Lagniappe is a little something extra. It's like the baker's dozen, that 13th bagel.
You talked about this in Austin, right?
So the lagniappe is going to be the environment and the people and walking away from their having real people in your life, not just a contact or someone to call about something later on. They're going to be the people that you're going to keep in contact with, and they're going to walk with me on my journey as I'm going to walk with them on theirs. Yeah.
That sounds fabulous.
That's what I'm thinking. And
I think you've probably got a modicum of my jealousy as I sit here next to you just now. Having said that, I have a lot of effort. I've got a lot of work to put into speaking to patrons and speaking to you guys and catching up with everybody again, but also with my family as well. I've been doing a lot of whiskeying over the last while. But nevertheless,
you've been very generous, and I feel like I'm taking your time away from your family, but they've been very gracious.
We got to eat dinner tonight. You got to meet the kids, meet Lynn, meet my wife, and things. And you realise that everything's fine. It's finding balance, just constantly trying to find balance. Chris Meir is saying, when are we going to have a chance to buy Ardnahoe whiskey? Well, you can ask that question because you're going to be there. When I was there, I was told that it is very, very unlikely for it to be younger than 8 years old. And they're absolutely adamant that they won't even sell a new make spirit until they've got a product that they feel is representative, which I think is the right way to do it. Build up that, that desire, build up, what's it called when you build I can't remember. But regardless, I think it's when you get to a point that people are ready for it and they really want to taste it, and that's just, you've arrived at a point that you believe is representative of what your whiskey is going to be going forward. But you can ask when you go there. You can ask if they're still doing it, and you will get a chance to try their new make. And that's a privilege.
I'm excited about that.
Luna's saying yeast is the next big thing after terroir. A great article in the Whiskey Yearbook. So I sent Luna. She won one of these, a copy of this. And you asked me, said, I need to know what book it is that's going to make me start acing these quizzes. And I have to say that I've already mentioned the majority of the questions I'll find in this book or a book very like this. Obviously, I have to reach out to this book if I want to talk about bourbon or anything that's beyond malt whiskey, because this is a malt whiskey yearbook, but this is a fantastic book. It's not very expensive. Most of my quiz questions comes out of this. And it's full of, it's not just a kind of, there's lots of editorial content in here as well. Where they talk about things that we talk about regularly. It's good fun. Lynn, my wife is saying, that's my wife. Oops, can confirm your coins are resilient. Through the washing machine, good as new. You didn't empty your pockets from Texas. Is it one of my coins? So the problem with that is the coin pocket in my jeans.
Yeah.
So she'll empty my pockets, but she probably won't check the coin pocket.
They're your pockets, not her pockets. I'm right there with you, Lynn. I'm backing you up on that one.
So I can't even show one of my coins, which is probably a good thing, because I need to get organized. These are old coins. It's the new coins, the batch 3 coins. They are here. I brought them back from Texas. I have lots and lots and lots of them. I've given Leanne her coin downstairs earlier. My coin, you know where mine is, has just been through the wash. It's good to hear that they're resilient. But yes, there are batch 3 coins. I'm going to release them to my patrons first. The patrons will see them first. And then immediately afterwards, just a week or so after, I'll get everybody else's coins out to them. And don't worry, if you've got a coin with a number on it, it will be reserved at least until the end of this year. You'll have lots of time to buy your number. Don't worry, don't panic. It's reserved. So you will manage to get your coin. Come in. It's a Saturday night after all. It's not a Thursday night. This isn't a normal vPub.
Lynn is the MVP behind this, let me tell you.
She is. So this has been through the wash.
That's great.
My son just came up and knocked the door, and there we are. This is the batch 3. So it's a recycled review coin. You can't see in this light right now. So it's purple after the purple bin. What do you call the bin? Trash can?
Well, it's a bin or
dumpster.
Yeah, or we just call it the can.
The can.
The can.
You get your
recycled or the garbage, one or the other.
You get a photograph taken.
We did. Roy took my picture standing by the recycle bin because it's famous as he is.
So the coin is purple after the color of the bin, and it's got kind of recycled themes on the back. There's a little quote that's to do with the recycled reviews, and there's a picture of the basket of bottles and the bin on the back. That's batch 3 coins. Like I said, they'll go out to. I'll announce that to patrons this week, and then I'll do a general announcement through social media channels and probably on the vPub this coming Thursday to let everybody know what's happening with the coins. Kilco O'Brien is saying, I started to keep one in my wallet so I don't forget it in my pants. That's right. You don't want to get caught short with somebody challenging you and you're not carrying a coin. Scotch Test Dummies is saying, did the coins make it through airport security okay this year? I did receive a question, but it was much better than previous experience, Scott. They just asked what it was, and I worked out that if it's airport security, there's a chance that they've got military or law enforcement background perhaps, and I said they're challenge coins, and the guy just said, okay, and he gave me them. So I got through okay. Emery McGill is saying, when I leave my money in my pocket, my girlfriend claims it's her payment for touching my dirty clothes. Nice one, Emery. Dwayne is saying the batch 3 coins look great and I look forward to getting some soon. Dwayne, of course, all of yours will be reserved for you. Steve A is saying, love my coin. Steve managed to snag his coin at the...
Did he?
So I was in the back of the truck, the Scotch Test Dummies wagon, and the coins were there. There was a few people picking up their coins, and people saw what I was doing, and they managed to snag their coins early. A couple of the guys at La Quinta as well managed to get their coins early as well. There's no point in paying postage if the guys are out there.
Right.
But you had to fly over here to get yours.
I had
even
to fly
a
to Scotland to get mine. That's funny. Yeah.
Christina Zapoli is saying, great, excited for another coin. See, Christina could have got her. Like, could have. If I was organised, Christina, you'd have yours already. But you might find that there's a little bonus in your package as well, because there are some new Evangelist coins as well. Travis Keltner is saying, so happy I got mine at the Bastard's Wall directly from you. Travis Keltner, I call him from here on forward the Centurion. He was my 100th patron.
Oh, wow. That's
So Travis,
cool.
you are the centurion.
What a great
Let's
honor.
pour one dram to wind things up and raise a glass to all the fine whiskey folk and barflies that have joined us on a Saturday evening. What would you fancy? Pete, Texas Heat,
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
or something sweet?
I don't know. You pick it. It's your
You
place.
were just about to make a pit, weren't you?
I was thinking Pete just because I'm about to go to Isla, but that's totally up to you.
Okay, let's make Pete, but let's not make it Isla Pete.
Okay.
You're gonna drown on Isla Pete in a coming few days.
I'm gonna be
if things work out the way you hope, right?
out my ears.
Where is it up here?
All right, I'm not gonna move.
So
this chair is very close to some precious cargo back on this shelf.
Donald Rance has just bought us a virtual dram. We'll need to.
Aww.
We'll rinse out this glass quickly, and I'll pour. He's saying, "Hey, cheers from Toronto." So Donald's in Canada.
That's a great city.
I managed to get some samples through to Donald in Canada, but it came with an inspection notice packed.
Ooh.
It was a kind of a virtual slap in the wrist. So
well, I will not confirm nor deny that I muled samples of Louisiana hot sauce.
What we talked about in Texas, though, we're developing this global network of mules, but it's not mules in the sense of smuggling contraband.
No.
It's smuggling genuine gestures of sharing. There is no money to be generated.
No, I
here.
made nothing off of it.
It's just like, I have tried this. I think you will love this. Please enjoy this as much as I did.
Right.
And I think customs don't have any truck with that at all. But when they're following the letter of the law rather than the spirit,
right?
You know, we can end up in trouble. But if you're carrying wee bags, if you're muling wee bags of samples, I think that's fair game. I think it's just all in the spirit of sharing. Ebhead Rolf is saying, "Where's your Long Row 21?" Rolf, I haven't participated in the Rami for the Long Row 21 yet. I would like to try it. I would even like to have a bottle, but I've spent far too much money on whiskey recently. I'm trying to be careful. And it's one of those things, if I happen upon it, I'll probably pick it up, but I'm not going to get standing in a queue or involved in auctions or any nonsense for it. I'm sure I'll get to try a sample of it at some point. And in Scotland, we say, what's for you won't go past you, or what's for you won't go by you, we say.
Right.
So this is Talisker. I should talk about this. This is last year's special releases. Obviously, the new special releases for this year has just broken. There's a Talisker 15 in the lineup. But I want to talk about this one from last year because I don't really like Talisker very much. That's not true. It's not that I don't like it. It's just not one that I really love. It's always a bit salt and pepper for me. So always a bit prickly around the edges. I love Talisker 18, but the 10-year-old is I think it can be a Marmite whiskey. I don't know. The Whiskey Rev feels the same as me. We kind of, maybe we don't like it together. I don't know. But this is not that. This is amazing. And I know I'm overselling it before Leanne's even had a sip. Have you tried this? You haven't tried this?
I have not. I've not
This
tried
is
it.
way more peated than you would expect a Talisker to be, which makes sense at 8 years old. But this is cask strength as well. It's 59.4%. And I managed to pick this up at retail. I've got more down here. You can see just over the back there. Another bottle that I was saving, sealed. And then I picked this one up at retail last week. I said, okay, if it's still at retail, I'm buying it. And I opened it and shared it with the Whiskey Rev. Down to there, the Whiskey Rev and I managed to get, we loved that. This last
hit
few
that
days.
pretty well.
Yeah, we did well. Loved it. So when you mentioned Pete, this is the one that was at hand. Pete's not on top, it's inside.
It doesn't hit you. You get it, but it's just an element, not the front runner.
Jimmy Leg Blair is saying, Aquaviti, you always say you're spending too much money on whiskey. We all are.
We're in good company.
But as long as you're aware and you talk about it, you can still continue to spend too much money on it, but you have to do it consciously. You're not doing it just right. You have to be aware that you're being silly. And you're absolutely right, Jimmy. You're absolutely right. Christina Zerpoli is saying, I can neither confirm nor deny that there are about 5 litres or more waiting to enter Canada. The NJ muling may or may not be a thing for our friends, but it's our job, Christina. These friends in these other planets that can't get the product, They need help and assistance from us.
It's part of being the evangelist, spreading the word.
You're a fantastic whiskey friend and a good mule, Christina. Kilco Brandy saying, my hope is to bring expensive bottles from my area to friends who brought them via my hands. No payment other than gas money, and I get to travel more. Again, another way for it to be a connector.
Yeah.
That's how it's bringing people together. The only way to physically get this to somebody else sometimes is to take it. Emery is saying, have you seen the new Diageo releases for 2019? They have a 15-year-old at cast strength coming out. I did see that, and I did mention that I would be very keen to try it. I'm going to predict that the peat is probably a bit more muted than this. Luna's saying, my uncle used to bring booze to Norway in the doors of his car and sold it to Norwegian students. Now that's commercial muling, all for the sharing then. Reb Mordecai is in. Reb, so good to see you, my friend. Reb is in Israel, so he's tuning in. He's probably 3 hours ahead. I really love the Talisker 57 degrees north. That is the best non-age statement Talisker, Reb. You've hit the nail on the head. It's a cracking dram. The others are nothing special. Reb, if you live 57 degrees north, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. And Reb, this, I can tell you, this is exclusively ex-bourbon as well. First fill, ex-bourbon as well. That's 2 ex-bourbon exclusives we had tonight.
That's been a theme.
Sláinte.
Sláinte. Oh, man.
That is Scotch.
Wow.
There's nothing else that can be that.
Oh, gee whiz.
Caramel.
It just fits my
smoke. The peat, there's a sweetness, there's a sugar. What's the fruit? Like an aromatic, like a melony thing, and it's dry on the finish. This is dry, but it's long, right? It's just
it just keeps going.
This, and you know, it's got a single-digit age statement on there as well. I love it. Donald is saying they just made shipping into and out of Canada more difficult. From a whole different planet now, it's a whole different universe. We will find ways around it, Donald. We have to work as a wee community network. Yeah. There's no commercial gain out of this. We're not trying to sell a product. We're not trying to trade. We're trying to gift things. And the samples that we are sending, this is samples that I received today from Calderak. He is on Twitter, and he's known as, his name is Roy, actually. I think it's his surname, though. And he got in touch with me to ask, because I was going on and on about Daft Mill. I love Daft Mill. See, my Daft Mill over there is still sealed. There's going to be a wonderful moment for that to be opened. But I had to go and buy this at auction. I live in the country that makes this, and I have to buy it at auction and pay way over the odds to get it. But I loved that so much that it drove me to do it. But these are single cast Daft Mills that he could get in Europe easier than I could in Scotland. And he offered to send me, and there's how I know it's from him. His wee illustration on there as well. Can I show you this? It's just very, very cool. If you know this guy on Twitter, you'll recognize that little illustration. And he sent me these 2 Daft Mills. Thank you so much, my friend.
And you know,
but that's the quantities that we are trading.
Right.
There's nothing.
It's not going to break anybody else's profit margin for that to happen. But the other thing is you're excited to get that, but he's just as, if not more, excited to send it to you.
Exactly. And all he's hoping is that when what he's experienced enjoying these whiskies,
you get some of that. Especially
that he knows I'm already invested in Daft Mill, I'm going to enjoy it.
Right.
He's just thinking, he's selling these tools, and he knows, sending these, he knows the enjoyment I'm going to get out of sitting in a quiet moment. And it's just, that's what drives us.
Yep.
The experience. The money is, nobody thinks about the cost of the whiskey, cost of the shipping. It's just in the hope that we can experience that wee moment. Reb was asking about the bottle. This is last year's special release. Reb is Talisker 8. I don't even need to say I'm not sponsored by Diageo, because Diageo would never ever lower themselves to you can understand why I'm excited to share that whiskey,
I can.
right?
I really, really can.
Absolute cracker. Donner Pass Whiskey is a new star. He's saying hi, Roy and everyone. Greg's Whiskey Guide from France is in. Greg, good to see you. Hi, Leanne. Sorry catching up late. Don't worry about it, Greg. It's great that you can join us whenever. Andrew from down south. That's really, really prestige like wisdom. He's from Australia.
Oh.
Good morning, Roy, and all you MBs. Good morning, Andrew, my friend. Good to have you joining us over a cup of coffee, I hope. And there he is. Mark Goins is in.
Hey, Mark.
Oh, Haley and Roy.
Bud.
So I just discovered something from Leanne about you tonight. I'm not going to mention here, but wow. So here's to you, Mark. Fabulous to hang out with you last week as well. Cheers, my friend.
And if you're just getting in, Mark, I suggested we had at the Ben Nevis bar last night had Glen Scotia 15, and I thought of you every sip. So thank you, friend, for that.
And that's a nice recommendation to make, especially for people who get stuck in the Springbank cul-de-sac. You know, you have a cul-de-sac, right? It's like a dead end that once you get a taste for that style of whiskey, it's difficult to come back out. It's difficult to, but we do have to make an effort to come back out. There's lots of other whiskies out there as well. There has to be enough Springbank to go around.
Right.
And Glen Scotia bizarrely have the same savoury, earthy funk in a lot of their expressions.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same, but in that 15-year-old, it's there.
Yeah, it is, but not overpowering to where it's off-putting.
We were at a Glasgow Whisky Club tasting night. It was a Glen Scotia vertical night. We're all having a Glen Scotias, and the guy next to me, Scott, I know he doesn't tune in very often, but Scott said, I'm getting smoked salmon from Glen Scotia 15. And I couldn't taste anything other than smoked salmon every time I went. But I knew it was savoury. And I wondered, I just couldn't work out what savoury I was getting. And when he said smoked salmon, it was there in that Glen Scotia 15. Quite amazing. I know it's by the power of suggestion, but that's why it's wonderful. People say, oh, that's power of suggestion, like it's a negative thing. It's an amazing thing.
It's usually helping you articulate what you're already thinking anyway.
And if somebody else can suggest and you just say, yes, absolutely.
Right.
I think it's there's a huge kind of smoke and mirrors things. Oh, you're not tasting that. You're not tasting that. I'm tasting something, and all I'm doing is doing the absolute best I can to articulate it.
So I'm getting strawberries on the fruit. Not like
I said melon, didn't I?
Yeah, but like fresh strawberries, fresh cut strawberries, not fresh, not like
almost
strawberry
like the
jam.
leafy green thing.
Like the real fresh and greeny taste. Ponchatoula strawberries in Louisiana.
I get it.
Just kind of that. It's almost in the aftertaste.
And you're right. It's not like stewed, cooked, like jams and things. It's not confectionery sweet.
Right.
It's fresh, clean.
Yeah. That's what I get.
But the finish. And you know, we talked earlier about the effervescence on the Annock. It's here. It's like you've been eating sherbet or something.
So good.
It is, isn't it?
It really is.
Andrew's saying sometimes it's coffee with a dram. Good for you, big guy.
No judge.
Good for you. We need to wrap things up.
Yes.
It's 9 o'clock. We've been on for an hour and a half. But what a pleasure, right?
This has been so much fun.
I had to do it.
I wish everybody could sit in this seat. You know,
well,
I've been there.
Let's make that a thing.
You know, right? I don't think Lynn's been very gracious. Yeah. Everybody's been gracious for this, and I truly appreciate it. But this has been spectacular, and I can't thank you enough about. I just have one request.
Well, I think when Leanne and I met, it was at a high point where everybody's adrenaline and buzz and things.
Right.
But there was a point later on in the Saturday evening when everything was starting to calm down and everybody was kind of having a chance to measure what we were experiencing and what we're enjoying. And we sat together. You actually tried to escape.
Yes,
and I said, no, Leanne, come and sit. And we sat together for a little while. But we only spoke together briefly. We were speaking to the rest of the group. But I relayed a couple of stories to you. You relayed a couple of stories to me. And they were bordering on emotional.
Yeah.
We were kind of struggling to kind of...
Yeah.
It wouldn't have taken much of a push more for us all to be welling up and tearing, right?
Yeah,
because
it is.
But it was the human stories, the connectedness, the coming together, the fun of it all, the awesomeness of it all. Welsh
Yeah.
Toros, he's doing what I did to you last week. Don't wrap things up. That's what I did to you when you tried to escape. I said, no, you come and sit.
What was the door dram? I remember
Joking
that.
Doris.
Yeah, you wouldn't let Vin leave until he had the door dram.
Yeah. So
know.
Vin was exhausted. He was tired. He did a great day, and he came over to say goodnight. And I said, no, Vin, take a seat. Take a seat. And he said, no, I'm tired. I said, no, you've not had a Joking Doris yet. And he said, what's a Joking Doris? I said, it's literally a drink at the door. It's the dram that you have before you leave. The literal translation is a drink at the door. He said, oh, okay. So he sat down, and then he had the Joking Doris. Then he got up to leave, and I said, no, you forgot to toast the Joking Doris.
You didn't call it, and then you questioned his English fortitude, which was pretty hilarious. I have to say.
From me, I know. But I was a bully, and I didn't mean to be a bully. I just didn't want to lose his company. I didn't want him going off to bed. He was
great. We had great fun.
Rob, Whiskey in the Six is in. Rob, you star. So nice to have you in. He's saying, hey, everybody, we're just about to wind things up, my friend. But I was flying Rob's colours at the thing while Vin was flying the Scotch for Dummies. And I hope that next year, the week of that event changes so that it's easier for me to travel, certainly, but for so many more of the channels as well. Yeah. It would be amazing. It would be amazing. Well, this has been a pleasure. I wondered how I could catch up. You enjoyed that a lot.
Can you tell?
No. Sorry.
Oh, no. I'm not going to deny a pour of that. Good gravy. Little wee, like un piquito.
But it is a terrific whiskey, right?
It is.
And for me to see that on a shelf at retail from last year, I just had to. £75. But it's worth every penny of £75.
Wow.
Even the Whiskey Rev, who is, like me, not a huge Talisker fan, was literally rolling the glass between his fingers and going, wow.
This is a wow glass.
For an 8-year-old whiskey, right? Stop looking at age statement. It's nice to have an age statement, but only as a measure of the investment on there.
Yeah.
That's just for information's sake. Christina's saying that sounds like an amazing fun. Makes me sorry I missed the La Quinta this year. That lobby was insane.
It was. And it was beyond just the massive number of bottles that were being passed around and shared. It was, there were people that didn't know anyone, and other people made it a mission to go and pull those folks into a conversation.
Come and sit here.
Yeah, sit here. And there were a few folks that were timid. It's like, no, we're all here. We're all family.
Yeah.
And you just pulled them all in, and you got to know them. And then after the second night, they were all in the mix,
When you're in an environment where there are literally so many unicorn bottles in one space,
it was wild.
You can only disconnect and say, okay, there's all the whiskey I could ever dream of right here. Yeah. And people are handing you whiskey. They want you to try whiskey. You just sit down, and the whiskey relaxes, and it takes a back seat, and it says, I've brought you together. Now it's up to you guys.
Right.
And that's what it was. That's what that. And what they said at the hotel as we were checking out, they said, if you come on a different weekend next year, you can book the whole hotel out. And we don't need to apologize to all the other guests.
Right.
Who's kind of, but I don't think it was a big deal. I think we were very well behaved. But I think they're saying, and they say that it would be a little more inexpensive as well.
Yes. Because
we ended up being there at the same time as a music festival. So if we could shift the weekend a bit earlier, a bit later, whatever it was, regardless, whenever it's going to continue to be an amazing event. I hope it does.
And the whole reason everyone was there for Crowded Barrel and the Bastard's Ball, and those guys are, working hard to bring all the other YouTubers there for that opportunity, but is in the sole sense of opening whiskey up to everyone, and it not being a highbrow, high income, snotty type thing. It's for everyone, and that's to be highly commended for them to open that forum up for everybody.
That's exactly as I said to them. They're taking the snobbery away. They're bringing education in a really fun way. They're collaborating. They're opening things up. They're being open.
Yep.
I always say collaboration is more powerful than competition. They prove it. We prove it time and time again.
Absolutely.
When you see the amount of channels competing, and I use that word in inverted commas, competing channels, and hanging out in here just the same as we hang out in their streams is wonderful. And Donna Passacena's Scotch on the Bayou, a YouTube channel. No, yeah, I think she should be. She's writing.
All right. And in the future, we'll have some things up on YouTube that can be found on my website, scotchonthebayou.com. But I like words. I like the typing out and working with sentences. I diagram sentences for fun. I know I'm weird, but I don't think I could do them right now after a few tryouts that I've had.
No, I get it.
But, yeah.
I get it. We talked about it earlier today. And if you like to write, share whiskey and writing.
Yeah.
I like to write too, but I'm not very good at it. So I ended up doing this. D.H. Silva's saying whiskey is always good, is always going to be a higher income product. I agree with you. But consider a bottle of £75, $100 worth of Talisker 8, and how much enjoyment that's going to bring through the bottle. How many bottles of $20 wine would you have to drink to get the same enjoyment out of it? So absolutely, but it is contextual as well.
Yep.
But I agree. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more expensive as the months go by. It's our job as this fantastic community to get together and work out where the good value resides. Now, if I opened this tonight and told you it was a $200 bottle, you'd buy it. You'd just be like, yeah, I get it.
I would see, but I'd like to find it at £75.
Exactly. Let's wind things up.
Okay.
Let's see. Sorry, there's no quiz tonight. This isn't a vPub. This is an impromptu. Hey, Leanne, would you like to do a stream and talk? Share your story. I just wanted to share some screen time with Leanne. And I did genuinely want to one-up the S4Ds once more. I honestly didn't. But I think it's really, really nice to see that transition from Leanne Rayner to Scotch on the Bayou to the website, and then to walk around with your Mardi Gras beads around your necks. Everybody got Mardi Gras beads with a Scotch on the Bayou kind of medallion thing. Yeah, we were all wearing them. It was great fun.
It was fun.
And then to have you on the back of being in Texas with you in the bizarre environment it is for me of Texas.
That was crazy.
To have you sitting here with me.
That's so crazy.
In my lush studio.
It is fabulous, folks. Fabulous.
Okay, she sees the truth now that she's sitting here. But as a cheers and a hug.
Thanks so much. Thank you. This has been spectacular.
All of you wonderful, wonderful whiskey folk who were there last week and witnessed what we're talking about, some of it, and who weren't and yet might. And for those that can't or shan't,
you were there in spirit.
Absolutely. We'll carry that. And until my next vPub will be on Thursday night, talking about the sherry cask, I do have a guest. The coins and news of the coins and things will drop through Patreon and the rest of social media throughout the week going forwards. And until then, I'll raise a glass to say, slant you to you all, you barflies, you wonderful whiskey folk. To you, Leanne, what a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Slant you, y'all.